Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
What is up, everybody? Jake Shapiro hanging out with us for a little bit this morning as well. So much to get into. Of course, we had rings. We had a banner rising with the Nuggets. You also have the Avalanche. And of course, you can't forget about Kareem Jackson going off on the internet last night. Jake, good morning. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. We're 1-0 to start the season here in Denver, Colorado. Great Nuggets win last night. The Avalanche looks spectacular. Their offense is far better than that of our football team. Got to see and hang out a little bit with Travis and Shedeur. And you know, it's just kind of all coming full circle with Denver sports last night. It was great. And then you had a great game at NLCS Game 7. The World Series is going on. This is the best time of year for sports. It's just fantastic.
It's so crazy because I walked back into Ball Arena. It was my first time since I wasn't able to go to the Avs game on Thursday night. And I walked back in and I'm like, it feels so long, but also feels like I was just here yesterday for the Nuggets to win their championship. It was such a wild but fun experience to be back. For you, what was the most memorable part? Because there was so much going on down there.
Yeah, it's funny. We did a post-game video last night, and I said the most lasting memory I'm probably going to have is seeing how much it meant to Nikola Jokic to raise the banner and to get the ring. And we had said that before we had talked to Nikola. And then I went and talked to Nikola, and Nikola said, I don't think I realized how much this meant to all these people. And the videos of fans crying and all of that stuff, the impact, the joy that we have on people's life is immeasurable, more or less. So that was basically backing what we were talking about last night. So that will be a lasting memory of just that Nugget season and Nikola taking that moment in. But the Blue Arrow celebration with Jamal Murray coming out, the fans rallying behind the whole starting five. There's just a bunch of great moments last night.
It's so funny because I watched the whole Blue Arrow thing again, obviously, as he's coming out. And you can tell the exact moment it kind of hit him is like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it right now. Like there was like a slight pause that he has as he's like walking out and then he does it. And you're like, yes. And the fans absolutely loved it. I loved how they did all like little intros, like Aaron Gordon doing his like little dance moves. And then they're all sticking their hands up with the ring. It was just so cool. And I got to give the Nuggets props because they did a fantastic way of like allowing the crowd to be a part of the moment.
Yeah, I thought Jamal said it great. That went better than I expected, and I had high expectations. Like, that was an awesome celebration. It was an awesome moment to be at Ball Arena for. I'm sure it was just as good on TV, too, because you got to see the guys up close with faces. We kind of just got the sound stuff more than the face stuff. But yeah, to see that banner raised, to go up on the opposite side of what Joe Sakic has built with the Colorado Avalanche, both as a player and as a general manager, to have that join in Nuggets history with, I guess, some of the Mammoths run, finally getting some much needed recognition for a franchise that has been not great historically, but has had so many wonderful moments. And last night was one of the most wonderful moments in this franchise's history. It goes right up there with Game 5 against the Heat. I thought the rings, Rachel, I know you're all on top of this, but I thought the rings were spectacular. Just blew me away with how beautiful they are. The double ring is so cool. And in the blue and yellow, the different carats, the diamonds. I mean, Rachel, we both got marriage rings in the last year. This looks a lot better than both of what we got.
I know. It looks so cool. I'm like running through the concourse because whoever the jeweler is, I'm forgetting the name just like Jamal Murray does.
Jason from Beverly Hills.
Or yes, I think Michael Malone actually was the one that was like, I need to make sure I say their name correctly. I'm like running through the concourse trying to find them. So I'm like, first of all, how much is this ring? I'm very curious. And then you can buy, if you're a super fan and you have an extra $10,000 in your pocket, you could buy like the second most expensive ring. And I was like, holy smokes. So to be able to go see it and like what it looked like and to be able to get that, I ended up finding out the rings are $75,000, which I don't know why in my mind, I'm thinking that these rings are going to be like $200,000 because they're just so big. And they have so many jewels on them that I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to be so expensive. But you did some research too. And like $75K is it's pretty much up there with a lot of sports teams.
Yeah, we think it might be the second most in recent history. I went through just a
Crazy.
couple recent champs. The Warriors was appraised at around 100K, and that's honestly makes sense because it was their fourth ring, and I think they went like crazy on it, if I remember correctly. Like they put diamonds for every single championship, and like blah 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 blah. It was it was annoying. It was the
Yeah.
Warriors, but the Avs in comparison was only $40,000, $50,000.
Only.
Right. The Rams championship ring, again, same organization, was only 45, $50,000. So I mean, I wasn't too surprised. I honestly thought that $75,000 was a lot of money because I'm like, how do you even fit $75,000 into such a small object? Right.
I
So
know.
that's what kind of blew me away with how much precious gems and how much money you can actually put into one of those objects. Rachel, I don't know what you're expecting. I don't know how you would even make a $250,000 ring. That seems impossible.
Insane.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, what was I thinking now that I think back and actually look at it? But they're just so big. And I feel like nowadays, especially in the NBA, it just feels like money is just like so thrown out there that I think my head was just like automatically going. I'm like, oh yeah, 200,000, that'd be like nothing for NBA money. But yes, they're beautiful rings. They are so cool, so well designed. The videos that they did for all of them were really special. And then you have the banner rising, and that was just such an electric moment. Everybody is talking about Nikola Jokic's face as he watches the banner go up, and he looks like a little kid almost, just with this like so pure smile.
You cannot tell me this guy doesn't care.
Yeah,
It's such a fun narrative that we go, he doesn't care. You know what, Rachel? He doesn't care about us. He
yeah,
does not care about the way the NBA operates and all the hoopla that comes with the NBA that guys like LeBron James care so much about. And you know what? It's okay to care about that stuff too. Like Kevin
yeah.
Durant cares a lot about it. Steph Curry cares a lot about that stuff. That's
Mhm.
okay. Nikola Jokic doesn't. You know what Nikola cares about? His teammates, basketball, and I think he really cares about the city of Denver and the fan base.
Yeah.
So that again, it was a wonderful moment that he got to celebrate. And honestly, and this is going to go maybe misremembered throughout history, and we won't think of it, but Jamal Murray is loved by this fan base as Nikola Jokic is, and
Oh, yeah.
the Nuggets have built up, and Jamal Murray has earned the right to have that co-billing next to Nikola Jokic to be the Robin to his Batman. He's done everything possible that a secondary star can do. And what a wonderful player to have as your secondary star. And you see it in some of the plays he had last night. He comes out absolutely firing, and then down the stretch makes some more big plays. It's the Jamal of old, and he's poised to have just a massive regular season, in my opinion.
Oh, it's so much fun. Let's talk a little bit more about Jokic though, because he does get a triple double. They beat the Lakers. Fans are screaming, "Who's your daddy?" at the end of the fourth. Like, Ball Arena was electric. We all can remember LeBron putting on the crown when everybody was yelling at him during pregame. What's your take now on what so many people are calling it as a rivalry?
Long way to go.
Okay.
Long way to go. LeBron has done a lot. The Lakers have done a lot in
Mhm.
the course of their franchise's history. Rachel, the Nuggets have never even beaten the Lakers in a playoff series, let alone swept them. That was the first sweep in Nuggets history last year.
Yeah.
LeBron's resume is unbelievable, obviously. To get Nikola Jokic comparatively to LeBron, we're going to have to see another couple championships. And I mean, probably two. We're going to
Mhm.
have to see another MVP at the very least. And you know what? I'll start to have that conversation because I would argue right now, Nikola Jokic's peak is as great as LeBron James was in 2011, 2012, 2007. He is that good. But he needs to simply just add more to the resume. So, in terms of comparing the two, Jokic has some work to do. He's still young. That's okay.
Mhm.
LeBron has literally played for 21 years. It's really hard to get after that guy. And Jokic would admit that himself. The Nuggets themselves, Rachel, if they don't play in the in-season tournament and they're not scheduled to, so the only way they would play is if they somehow met in the in-season tournament, the Nuggets went a perfect 6-0 against the Los Angeles Lakers in the calendar year of 2023. So
Mhm.
that is how the Nuggets actually start to become the Lakers' daddy. And in the current era right now, because of 2023, they didn't lose a single game. The Nuggets were the Lakers' daddy. But
Mhm.
historically, the Nuggets still have a lot to do. I think they're on the right track. And as a, kid who grew up in Denver, Colorado, basketball fan and loved the Denver Nuggets and thought at one point we were going to get LeBron James because the Nuggets were the worst team in basketball, but ended up with Carmelo Anthony. And you had that Carmelo, LeBron thing back and forth. To see LeBron's career perhaps end as not being able to get over the Denver Nuggets would just be a remarkable cherry on top to this amazing era of basketball we're watching.
I didn't personally see this, but there's lots of speculation going on that Jokic went to look for players to shake hands after the game, and they had already gone back to the locker room. Did you see any of that? And if so, what are your takes on that?
Yeah, there's a video of LeBron going back to the locker room, Jokic looking over that direction, going, okay, and then walking back to his locker room.
Mhm.
LeBron had enough time to meet Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders last night. I think LeBron had enough time to hang out with Nikola Jokic, but these are the things that signify that there is the beginning of a rivalry.
Yeah.
There is that hatred. The moment we knew that the Detroit Pistons were cooked to the Chicago Bulls was when Isaiah Thomas and the rest of the Pistons didn't shake hands on their way out of the Eastern Conference Finals in the late 80s, right? Like that
Yep.
was the moment, early 90s. That was the moment where we knew it was a changing of the guard. Was that a changing of the guard where LeBron can't even admit to have that respect because he is petty? It's a
Mhm.
long season, Rachel, and the Lakers are really ticked off at the Nuggets, and they've been ticked off for months. I mean, I understand it. Their season ended that way. It really probably was going to be LeBron's last shot in an NBA Finals, and he didn't get it, and now he has to go through the doldrums of an NBA season to try and get it again. And it starts out with him starting his regular season the same way last season ended, losing by the exact same score, -1, as they lost their last game against the Nuggets last spring.
That's actually just kinda crazy now that you said that. I
Yeah,
had not put 2 and 2 together, and I'm like, "Holy smokes."
it was 119-108. So last night was actually the largest margin of victory for a Nuggets Lakers game of the last 5. So the
Wow.
Nuggets actually got better, even though all the talk was about how the Lakers were catching the Nuggets.
Catching the Nuggets. Yeah, of course, when I turned on my TV this morning, it was all about, "Oh, what was the Lakers doing? Is LeBron toast and AD and yada, yada, yada." And I'm like, "Can we just talk about the champs a little bit, please?" Like, that's all I'm asking here.
You mentioned Jokic, but you didn't even mention the most impressive part about Jokic. Triple-double, obviously incredible. He
I feel
held
like we
Anthony
just check it nowadays.
he held Anthony Davis to 0 points in the second half.
Yeah. I was literally just about to get to that. You look at AD in the, like, beginning, the first half, and you're kinda like, "Alright," like, you expect a little bit more, but, like, he didn't have a bad game necessarily. Then holding him to 0 points, and the fact that he just disappeared. The second best player on their team disappeared. You gotta give credit to Jokic.
He's not the second best player on their team. He's the first
I
best.
agree.
He's the first best. And it's not particularly close at this point in history. And he's been their best player since about 2020. So for Nikola Jokic to do that was so impressive. It says a lot to the Nuggets defense, and he credited his help, but he really got up in his grill. And it was fun to see Anthony Davis go 0 for 6 and to see him being posted as a truck driver, according to AI on Lakers Twitter last night.
Okay, but wait, I wanna hear your take why he's the first best when you have LeBron out there and just because I mean, an impact player like LeBron, I mean, obviously, a lot of people are gonna focus on him, so is it just because AD can, open up a little bit more, or why do you say AD?
Yeah, LeBron had the better game. He was 10 of 16, 8 rebounds, 5
Yeah.
assists. He was their best player. Um, LeBron, if you look at the way LeBron scored, a lot of those points came in transition. He just got downhill. He scores a lot of their easy baskets at this point in his career. Anthony Davis is relied upon to do the stuff that the stars do. He scores the tough baskets. Late in the shot clock, it's going to Anthony Davis.
Mhm.
Anthony Davis is the thing that sets them apart when they're playing well defensively. He's their best defender by far and away, and he's not that good of a defender anymore in his career, but he is their
Fair.
best defender. LeBron is not that good on defense anymore simply because he's coasting on that end.
Mm.
And LeBron will tell you that he wants this to be Anthony Davis's team. He wants Anthony Davis to be the best player. At this point, with LeBron nearing 40 years old, in order for the Lakers to be the best version of themselves, which we've seen at points over the last couple months. I mean, they were the best team in basketball, or one of the best basketball teams in the NBA after the All-Star break. It was Anthony Davis grabbing 12, 13, 14 rebounds a night, scoring 25 plus points a game. So even without the three-point shooting, which has kind of trailed from Anthony Davis here later in his career, he is still a very great player. And at times, he looks like an MVP caliber player. I don't think at any point does LeBron James look like an MVP caliber player, and he hasn't since 2021. The problem with Davis is he's never healthy, and LeBron stays pretty healthy. So the overall metrics would tell you that LeBron's a better player, but on a night-to-night basis when they're healthy, I think Davis is the more impactful player, at least at this stage. Obviously, LeBron's had a better career. There's no debating that.
Yeah. Real quick, you and I was on the 104.3 The Fan War Room yesterday, and we were talking about Zeke Nnaji's contract extension. And I've been very critical of it. And I'm like, I feel like he hasn't done anything. It's $32 million guaranteed. And you said it's actually a good contract. And why?
Yeah, well, for several reasons. And I wrote about this for denversports.com Friday night or Saturday night. You could go back and check it out. One, he's a super versatile backup center. He can provide three-point shooting. He's got some defensive abilities. And he was really good in the regular season last year before he got hurt, and he would have been in a playoff rotation. He is the rare type of center that can play next to Nikola Jokic or back up Nikola Jokic. So in a perfect world, Zeke Nnaji actually solves a lot of the Nuggets' issues moving forward. Problem is, as you've alluded to, he has not consistently proved it, and he has spent more time injured than he has been healthy. So, and even last night, he has games where he doesn't make a huge impact, and that's okay from your backup center playing 12 minutes a night, especially when the starting center is the MVP of the league. So that's okay.
It's fair.
But, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say it's fair. Like, totally fair.
Yeah, but the contract extension has him being paid $8 million a year, which is very little money in the NBA. And that is basically the going rate on a role player. Bruce Brown last year signed a contract to be on the Nuggets for $5.5–6 million. So $8 million for a role player. Reggie Jackson's making $6 million. $8 million for a role player, really reasonable. 4 years with the last year being a player option, that's a little questionable. The real thing here going on, aside from all of that breakdown, though, is the fact that the way NBA trades work is if you're trading away $15 million, you can only get about $16 million back. So in order to take on the $16 million, you have to basically trade away $15 million. So how that works in practice is, let's say the Nuggets wanted to go get Gary Harris. Well, they couldn't just trade a first-round pick for Gary Harris, or they couldn't even just trade Gary Harris and that first-round pick and Reggie Jackson to clear the roster spot. That's not enough money because Gary Harris makes $13 million. Reggie Jackson makes $5 million. But what's 5 plus 8? That's 13. So if you trade Zeke Nnaji and Reggie Jackson next year at the start of the offseason or into the season with a first-round pick, you're now able to acquire some pretty decent players at that $12 to $15 million price range.
Oh, Jake, you just dive deep, my friend, and you put together lines that I would never put together. Job well done right there. Now, could Nuggets fans, is that a possible reuniting moment with the Nuggets and Gary Harris?
I just threw that name out there, but it
Yeah.
could be. And obviously a lot of that's going to depend on how Christian Brown plays. I think Christian was pretty solid last night. He really needs to work on his left hand near the basket, but he's doing some really great things. And the other part of this, Rachel, is the Nuggets might have to look for a KCP replacement next year because he will be a free agent, and he is so good. He is
so
just
good.
so good, but they're going to come up against it in terms of the salary cap and the hard cap and the new collective bargaining agreement. So the Nuggets are just, what they're doing is they're not necessarily targeting a single player or someone else around the league. They said, hey, what's a good range of guys that could end up maybe being like the 5th best player in our starting lineup as a shooting guard or a wing, just in case we lose KCP or just in case Christian Brown doesn't work out. Okay, so we take Reggie Jackson's $5 million player option. What does Zeke Nnaji need to make? Okay, around $8 million. add the two together, and you end up with a number of guys that are low-end starters in the NBA, around $12 to $15 million. So that's what's going on here. They're not necessarily targeting anyone. They're just creating themselves a backup plan. And again, that backup plan is the backup plan for the backup plan. And what I mean by that is, hopefully in their eyes, Zeke Nnaji is the answer at center, and he's a cheap rotation piece to back up Nikola Jokic and potentially play next to him on nights Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon can't play.
Good to know. Good thinking on that front, too. It's definitely fascinating what's going to happen there. Jake, as always, I know, huge Nuggets fan. You love covering them. We appreciate all of your insight right there. So fun listening. Any good things you're working on for denversports.com?
Will's got a story about Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders meeting LeBron James last night, and I urge you to click on that. That story, I think, is up on our website, goes up on social media in a few minutes, because Travis Hunter,
like a kid in the candy store.
He's so pure. I just love him. Like the little onesies, the way he talks to people. He's so nice. And I got to talk to him last night. I've obviously talked to him before, but not at a press conference. I just talked to him a little bit. So it was nice. That's coming up on denversports.com. And then we're interested in what Sean Payton as well as the coordinators have to say later today. And that'll be up on denversports.com around dinner time.
For sure. Shedeur and Travis, we're happy they play football and not basketball, though. You and I both watched them throw up a few shots and not a single thing went in. So happy they play football.
Who knew Travis was a lefty?
Who knew? Who knew a lot of things? Also, Prime in the beard, real quick. I need your opinion. Love it or hate it?
I like it. He lives in Boulder, Colorado. Like, it kind of works.
No.
A lot of people saw that for the first time at the Nuggets game, but he had a press conference earlier in the day. So he came out looking like Coach Santa. And I was like, I kind of like it.
Coach Santa. I love it. All right, Jake, as always, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. All right, let's move on to Kareem Jackson now, because he goes off on Twitter, or on, as I'm going to say. He goes absolutely off, you guys. He was having a day on there, posting a picture that says, "I'll never fold." Somebody said, "You're a clown. Don't be surprised if the Broncos cut you soon." He said, "I played long enough and made a blink ton of money. I wouldn't care." Justin Simmons also coming to his defense. He said he hit him with his shoulder and hit his shoulder. Just because it, quote unquote, looks bad doesn't mean it is. We are playing football, not flag. Somebody said, "You up, Kareem Jackson?" I still think about that hit on Hopkins a couple years ago. He said, "Hell yeah, I'm up. No practice tomorrow." Lots and lots of stuff that's going on when Kareem goes off on Twitter. And he did say he will be back tomorrow, or today now, as we should say. I'm curious your guys' opinion on this, so let me know in the comments. Are you like, Kareem, this isn't a good look for you? Or are you like, hey, you're going to be off for the next couple of days. You might as well enjoy it. Have fun. You know, everybody's on Twitter anyways, or X nowadays, because they were watching the Nuggets games or maybe the Avalanche game. I don't think it's necessarily a good look, especially because they reduced his suspension to 2 games. That's kind of the main reason why I'm like, all right, if they would have said, nope, we're definitely going to be keeping you. And I don't know if you guys have seen the actual, they stopped it essentially right as it hits him. And he is clearly on his shoulder. So it's kind of like, is the NFL really just trying to make a show and be like, all right, you guys, new rules, we're adapting to them. You guys better figure it out. We don't even want to have any questionable calls. I've seen so many people who have gone on and talked about, hey, let's make what's the word I want to use? Let's make you guys, it's blanking on me. I need some coffee this morning. Let's make I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of, you guys. I apparently stayed up too late or something. I can't think of it. But besides the point, they're trying to showcase Kareem and say, all of these older players, you better adapt to the new rules. Here we go. We're moving forward. Brandon Stokely actually even went on Twitter and was kind of saying that the NFL was making like a case of him and trying to show other players about that. So I find that very fascinating too. Let's move on, Rachel. This nonsense isn't worth the time. So people kind of seem to be over Kareem. I'm actually kind of interesting. Somebody said, our Bronco fans still really want to win against KC. We are the champions when it comes to the Nuggets. I loved it. Can Jokic play tight end? Oh my gosh. Can you guys imagine? That would be so funny. Rachel needs some tea. I do. Actually, you guys want to hear a funny story? We'll move off of Kareem because I kind of agree. I'm kind of like, whatever, Kareem. It's fine. Who knows what your future is even going to hold. But I have to tell you this funny story last night at the game as we're leaving. So we're going out to go film our like wrap up video. And all of a sudden I see this woman walking through and I'm like, holy cow, I love her boots. They were like so sparkly. They caught my eye from like so far away. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm the type of person like I will talk to absolutely anybody. So I was like, I love your boots. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And I was like, are they comfortable? Because I just wanted to know. Like I was like, they're freaking adorable. Like I would totally buy these boots. And she was like, they are actually. They're like a heel and whatever. And she's showing me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. Thank goodness I didn't ask this woman how much these boots are, because we end up walking away and Jake goes, was that Vanessa? I'm like, Vanessa? And I'm like, you mean Vanessa James, LeBron James's wife? And I'm like almost freaking out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Her boots were probably worth more than my entire yearly salary at that point. It caught me so off guard. I'm like, that was 100% Vanessa James. I should have realized it when there was like a whole giant posse around them. And like some of them were all talking about like why the heck I was even talking to her. I was so embarrassed, you guys, last night. I could not believe it. I was like, oh my gosh. I just sat and talked to Vanessa James. Those boots were amazing. I can't believe she was in Denver too. Savannah. Jake is texting me, not Vanessa. Savannah. See, I do need some coffee this morning. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate you very much. Yeah, Savannah James. I'm like, oh my gosh. Are you freaking kidding me? There she is. I was amazed. I could not believe it. The boots were amazing though. So I was like dying laughing. Rachel does need the boots. I do. Thank you, Jake, on the back end. I love you. Appreciate you for hanging with us. Let's move on though to the Avalanche, because they beat the Islanders 7-4. 15 consecutive regular season road wins, the most in NHL history. This Colorado Avalanche team, I don't know what it is about them. I have a few doubts because we really need Pavel Francouz to come back. We really, really, really do need Pavel Francouz to come back, because Georgie, he's going to get tired, you guys. I feel like in hockey, there's so many times that you need to see a rotation at goaltender, and this is one of those times, and I just don't know if they have that without Francouz. And I don't know how much they're willing to give up, because I think they kind of look back a little bit to last year, and it was like there was such a push at the end of the season and they were so exhausted that it was a little, I don't know, it just felt like they were like grabbing at pretty much anything they could get. And so it's like you want to win those early games. And the fact that they're starting off 6-0 is absolutely amazing. And you're so excited because it's such a hot start. But I'm really worried about Georgie. He didn't have his best game last night, obviously, allowing the 4 goals. And some of them were very much, I was watching it while we were actually at the Nuggets game, because there's so many stoppage times. So I'd like have the game on my computer and I'm watching it. And there's so many times where it was like one of those goals and you were like, oh, like he should have saw that. And you're just wondering. It can be exhausting. They came home for a few games, obviously, back out on the road. So I just am like, okay, where's Pavel Francouz? We need him, because I just don't think Antonin, it can be the answer that this team needs long term. We need him for a few games, sure. But long term, I'm like, I just don't know if he can be the answer. So Georgie, you got to give him props. He's keeping this team alive too. Cale Makar, are you freaking kidding me, dude? He's just going to be setting records left and right for the next few years. If you are not on board when it comes to Cale Makar, which I don't know anybody who isn't, you just need to. You need to accept that he's going to be one of the best defensemen to ever grace our presence out on the ice. And then Mikko Rantanen has his second 4-point game. Guys, they're 6 games in. Look at Mikko just absolutely going off. So I love to see that. Nathan McKinnon, they had 2 goals within like 13 seconds of each other. That was one of the times where I was watching the game like very intensely. And I was like, holy cow. This team's chemistry is really working. The ebbs and the flows, they are going off. Makar's shot last night was ridiculous. Absolutely insane. I could not believe it. They had a few snipes last night too, where you're just like, how the heck did they even get that to go in? Absolutely crazy. Rachel, let's make a pact that we start the show with the Avs until they lose, which maybe never. 100%. I love sitting here talking about them. And it's so easy because I know you guys, all the big hockey fans on here, you guys stick it out with me. And trust me, I love talking about it, but you had to talk about the fact that the Nuggets raised a banner last night. They had the rings, but now we're moving on. I have no problem with this. We can definitely chit chat about it. So Val was so good last night. He definitely was best player, not just a defenseman. You know what, RJ? You're actually correct. I'm not giving them enough credit right there. He's one of the best players out there, not just a defenseman. Let's see. I love reading your guys' comments because it lets me know what you guys want to talk about too. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised by this. Lots of people are talking about Taylor Swift in the comments. People are hoping that she's not going to be at the game on Sunday. Have we all seen the weather? If you're going to the Broncos game on Sunday, have you seen the weather? I think it could be a very, very, very chilly come Sunday too. So lots of good stuff to talk about. We will hear from the coordinators and Sean Payton later today. They had the day off yesterday. Pastor Tan was at the game yesterday. I don't know if any of you saw my tweet about that. So always good to see him out there. Kareem Jackson will not be at practice today. Instead, he might be going off on Twitter. But we look ahead to the Chiefs. Obviously, we're very, very happy with how the Nuggets go. The Avs, too. There's plenty of good stuff to come, you guys. So definitely keep hanging out with us. I love chit-chatting with all of you. And let me know, too, if you guys want to know a little more like broad spectrum, NHL, NBA, NFL. We obviously narrow down a lot when it comes to the teams we talk about here, but I'm very curious if you want us to broaden out a little bit too, because there is so much to a big picture when it revolves around these teams as well, plus other just good headlines to talk about. So love all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to go get myself some coffee, wake up a little bit more this morning, and we will see you guys tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Get back to work, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.